Hey guys, it's Kirk from the Forever Homestead. So I've discovered there's been a little bit of a theme this building season, you know, the summer, the fall, and that is you build something, make it beautiful or make it functional, and then you bury it in the ground. You know, we've done the basement of the house, all the concrete work, all the, you know, all that kind of stuff, all the beautiful, and then we backfill it. You know, we've done the barn, the floor, the concrete, the in-floor heat, and then we buried it under concrete. Well, today, keeping with that theme, is no different. Here is my ride for the day. So for today, we are going to be digging a trench from the house up there, all the way around here, down, and connecting it into the powerhouse for our main hydro. We're doing a direct burial hydro feed for 100 amp service to the house. We also need to get a water line from here, from our pump house, our well, up to our house. And we need to get from the back of this building here, we need to get two conduits over to the powerhouse, and those will be for our backup generator that we don't have yet, but that's where it's going to go. So I need to get those in while we're digging up driveways and all that kind of stuff. There'll also be some internet connections, some security connections, things like that buried along with those trenches. And then Sunday we have a delivery of what's called, I think it's called EcoFlex or Flex PEX. And it's a 5.5 inch big O with two 1 inch PEX pipes running through it, and then that has a wrap of insulation, 5 inches of insulation all the way around it, and that's going to be going from our house to where we're going to put our outdoor wood boiler just behind the pump house here, and also a run from the wood boiler into the barn, and that's for our heat system that we'll be adding that runs on firewood. But I am going to get this machine fired up and warmed up while I go do some chores, and then I'll bring you along and we can start digging these trenches. taking a fuel break here for the machine. For the machine, not for me. So trench is almost done. Just have a little bit by the powerhouse to go. The machine's pretty, it's not too bad to learn the controls. If you look at the trench where I started, it's a little rough. See if I can show you here. Where I started in the trench, it's a little rough. It kind of waves up and down because I wasn't too, I didn't coordinate the boom and the arm very well. But after about half an hour or so running it, things really started to, you know, you can see it progressively gets better and better and better. And then by here I kind of had it figured out. So yeah, my driveway's all dug up again. So by code, so where those pillars are there, by code, because that's going to be buried, you can see how the pillars kind of gradually get bigger. Each one of these pillars is only going to be about 18 inches out of the ground. So, you know, when all this gets backfilled, it's going to be about 7 feet up on the basement there. So the hydro and water and everything don't really need to be buried there, because that's going to be buried by 7 feet or 6 or 7 feet of dirt. So I went into that second pillar and started digging there, where it's not under a driveway. By code, it only has to be 18 inches deep. And then when it's by a driveway, so through here, it has to be at least 30 inches deep. This is 18 inches deep here, but you can see that the ground still needs to be brought up too. So overall, this whole trench is going to be about 30 inches deep. I made it a little bit deeper where it crosses here, more for the water than for the hydro, because as you drive over it, it's going to push the frost line down. We don't really have much of a frost line, so 3 foot buried here, I shouldn't have any problems. But you can see this main trench goes, and then there's a branch right here, and that's because our wood stove is going to be back in here, our outdoor boiler. So the PEX pipe will cut off there, and then another one will feed into it and carry on to the barn. And then you can see, hold on, let me cross the moat here. Oh. So it carries on along here. This is where it joins in with the other one. Comes along here. There's a little break through here. And this is because the water line and communication lines are going to go into the pit that I dug last year. I'll put a video or link to that video. And then we carry on here where the excavator is now, but there's also a branch running here because this is where my generator is going to sit. So this is going to be 2 conduits, one for communication from the Radeon inverter into the generator, and then the other one is for the power back to the Radeon to charge the batteries when there's no sun. So these two trenches I'm going to have meet basically right by the end of that red door there, because that's where everything goes into the barn. So I just have another probably half an hour on the excavator, and then I'm going to see if I can get this cable rolled out into the trench tonight. Just because we're going away for a couple of days, and on Sunday when we come back, my heat pipe is supposed to be going in the ground, and I want the power in first, and then I want to backfill a little bit because the PEX pipe doesn't need to be as deep, and I'd like there to be a little bit of a barrier between the two of them, just for if it ever comes to digging up or anything like that. So I'm going to keep going. It's freezing out here. I'm not used to not moving around all day, so I had to go bust out my winter gloves and stuff today. But as I said, I just fueled the machine up, so I should be good for the rest of the day here. See if I can get as much done as I can today. This wire is about $6 a foot, so you don't want to order a whole lot extra, but you really don't want to run short either. So I'm halfway there. Looking good. So I've got this conduit in the ground that I put in just before, or while I was doing the floor, so just before we poured it. So now I'm going to fish this wire into the electrical panel and also a ground wire that'll hook up to that plate there. So now we have our pull string. We just hook a vacuum to this side. Basically we just take the end of it, shove it down in there, and then you saw the bag and stuff out there, and it just sucks that through. So now we'll tape our that string to some ground wire. Sorry, creepy lighting, eh? We'll tape that string to the ground wire and to the hydromate, or the wire, and we'll hopefully pull it through. So we're short by a lot. I'm pretty sure I did the math to be around like 270 with extras and all that kind of stuff. And like I'm even cutting corners now. I'm showing that I have about 240 feet of cable, and I should have 270. I think 270, 275. But we got to figure out something to do now. So I think what we're going to do is go to the pump house and do a splice there. Hey guys, so the other night, I worked until well after dark, kind of getting the trench done. I got the cable into the house, the hydro into the house, and somewhere along the way, I ordered 275 feet of cable, and I only ended up getting 247 or something like that. So, needless to say, we were short, of course, right? It's always the way. So, anyway, I was able to get it into the house, and my father-in-law is an electrician, so you know, we kind of came up with a few different solutions. At one point, we were going to put it, just bring it into the pump house, and then put a panel there and run a second cable or a different cable back to the powerhouse there. What we've decided to do instead of that, because the problem with doing that, like it has, you know, had some good benefits. I wouldn't have to run power to the pump house or anything because I'd have it, you know, a sub panel in there. But as you know, as we started thinking about it, there was just more and more work that was going to be done. So we'd have to put in a conduit in there to bring it up, which isn't a big deal. You know, find space for it in there, which again isn't a big deal. But then you'd have to add you know, by code you'd have to have a ground plate, you know, more ground wire. It was just becoming a pain in the butt. So I had enough cable to reach the barn here. I just didn't have enough to get it, once it enters in the barn, I didn't have enough to get it to the panel. So, way back when we poured the floor, I put a few You can see the big O's down there. There's a 6-inch and two 4-inch. So you can see the hydro there going into that 4-inch, and that just goes under the slab into the barn here. So that just comes up to there. That cable was supposed to reach down just in front of this door here, up near the top, go in, and then the panel in the powerhouse is right there. So we're like, I don't know, 15 feet, you know, something like that, 15 feet short. But what we're gonna do now, this all is gonna have like a, I don't know, 1 foot, 18-inch trough that's gonna run all the way down. It'll act as a step to get into the shipping can there. The insulated heat pipe is going to come in that big 6-inch pipe there. So all that's just going to be buried, or not buried, but is going to be encased in a cabinet. So because that's going to happen anyway, we're just going to put a junction box down inside of that cabinet. It'll look like it was meant to be, like that was our plan all along. And it saves having to basically waste a bunch of this cable and have to buy more just to make the connection. So it's a little bit of a, setback. We just got to order a couple more supplies, but I think overall this is the best way to do it. Yesterday the guy came with this is called flex pipe, or flex pex. He came yesterday, and we ran, so that still has to go in that 6-inch there, and that runs all the way down, and then it turns by the pump house there. You can see, let me just show you in the trench here. So it goes in there. I got to straighten things out a little bit. That hydro cable I'm going to put underneath the heat pipe. But it's just all laying in the trench here. You can see the water line I have run. It's right here. And that is going to turn. That's going to turn. So the water line is going to cut in and go through here. These black cables are my communication cables. So I have 2 internet cables. I only need 1, but now I have a backup. And they run all the way down to the house. And then we have the 2 flex pex pipes here. And they go up to the location where we're going to put our wood boiler system. These flex pex pipes, they have an 1.25 inch pex in it, 2 of them, and then they're encased in insulation, so they're watertight. We don't have to worry about any of that. I've got my caution tape there. So I buried the electrical first. So these trenches are about 36 inches deep. I buried the electrical, or put the electrical in there first, and then buried it with about 1.5 feet of like put about 1.5 feet of the sand back in. Then I put my caution tape down, and then I'm just running the flex pex on top of that. It looks like, when you look at it, it looks like it's not deep enough, but this whole area is going to be brought up another at least 18 inches of like all that sand still has to be spread out and pushed around. So in the end, this pex, or this pipe, will probably be 2 feet in the ground or so. The only place I was a little bit worried about it is right here, because this for now is a driveway and I don't want things driving over it. So I might actually take some scrap foam board, like the blue stuff that I have scrap, and right in this area I might lay it over top of it. So if there is any traffic over here in the winter, it's not going to drive the frost. It won't drive the frost down to that pipe. But I think in the end it's going to be deep enough, so it's not really a concern. So I just went and picked up some. Direct burial phone cable. My father-in-law had it sitting there from a project he did a while ago, so I'm going to just quickly throw that in the trench, and that's going to come to the pump house to run alarm, security system and stuff like that, and just have some extra cable in the ground for if I need it for anything else. But I'm going to quickly put that in, and then we can start backfilling this portion of the trench here. just getting the conduits and heat pipe into the barn. For the heat pipe, it's 2/4 inch. You can see it's 2/4 inch, or sorry, 1.25 inch PEX pipe, so pretty big diameter there. And then it's a few different layers of insulation. You can see the different colors there of the different stuff. To be able to, it's a 6-inch pipe, but it's a little tough to fit it in the way it is. So I've cut the black casing off of it. I dinged up this a little bit, but it's not going to matter. It's just you know, 6 inches or so getting into the that pipe there. But yeah, as soon as we get this in, then we can get those other conduits in, and then we can fill this other side of the trench here. All right, I'm going to record this again because I don't know if I got it the first time. So we've got all of our stuff in the floor, or in the ground here. You can see we have a 3/4 inch pipe, 1.25 inch, and then the direct burial and the heat pipe. The gray electrical conduit, they just stub in there, I don't know, a foot and a half. And then on the inside, when we're ready to connect everything up, we'll stub conduit in on this side. It's protected by the big O in the slab, so it's not, by code, that's all acceptable. The 1.25 inch is going to connect up to that pipe there. It'll have to be, we didn't know the size generator we were getting when we bought this, or when we installed this quickly. This is an inch, but if we're using a 15 kilowatt or a standby generator, we had to increase the size of the conduit. So if we use a 12 kilowatt, that's a big enough conduit, but it's easier just to put it all in now. The hydro main sticks out there, so from once we cut these big O's down, we'll be able to transition that into a 1.25 inch conduit. We're going to put the junction there. The communication one pipe goes into the second black one, so that's this big one here. By code, you can't have low voltage wiring and high voltage wiring in the same conduit, and I assume that applied for the big O as well. But that's all okay. It's all, you know, we've got all that in there. The heat pipe's all in. That was a real struggle to get it in there. You can see it inside here, just bare, like it just stubs up above the ground, and then from there I just got to cut some insulation and transition that into just an inside PEX pipe and run it just over behind the fridge there. That's where all of our slab PEX radiant heat terminate. Yeah, and then so you can see it all the way down over to the pump house there where the generator's going to sit. The 1.25 inch is sticking up out of the ground. I just have to cap that for rain. And in true Kirk style, I didn't pick up enough 3/4 inch conduit. I don't know why I didn't match it. I don't know what happened there, but so I just temporarily have a elbow shoved on the end and taped up, just so it doesn't fill with sand. I'll have to pick up a piece, but at least for now I can backfill up to about here, which at least clears our driveway. So we can start using it again. I've got a load of logs coming for the timber frame soon, probably next week, so just want to get this all cleaned up. But I'm going to jump back on the excavator, do a little bit of fill here, and then I can run my tape, my caution tape for the electrical, and we'll be good to go. And there we go, we're all backfilled. Smoothed it out pretty well. It's not the finished driveway yet, so it's not like all over there. All that sand's going to be in. So